KD. Welcome to Free Agent Fever, presented by AT&T. Jared Greenberg, Steve Ashburner, Tom Penn. We're about to send you off for the evening, but how crazy is this that Kevin Durant reportedly heading to the Brooklyn Nets on a 4-year offer?
Well, it's fascinating, and I think it's very welcome, not only by those of us that have to report this stuff, that we have some real grist here for the mill, but also the other free agents and their agents and the teams, because all the dominoes start to fall rather quickly. I mean, I'm thinking back to 2014, where we were in Las Vegas before LeBron James made his announcement through the Lee Jenkins story that he was actually going back to Cleveland. So this is fast.
Let me give you this update, too, from ESPN. Not only are the Nets getting Kyrie and KD, but also DeAndre Jordan is going to join them, according to ESPN, in Brooklyn. We also mentioned Garrett Temple going to Brooklyn as well.
Man, they've been busy. Look, this is a huge, huge victory for the Nets in terms of the plan worked. And this was a plan that came from the real ashes. They didn't have any first-round draft picks. They traded them all basically to the Celtics. They built the team the old-fashioned way. They created this identity that was appealing enough for Kevin Durant to get on the phone with Kyrie Irving and say, "You in? Yes. You in? Yes. Let's announce it right away. Let's get it out, and then let's get everybody to come with us." So Garrett Temple says, "Okay, I'm in." DeAndre Jordan says, "Heck yeah, I'm in." This is the idea of New York finally being realized in the modern era, because the Knicks could never get their act together enough to do it. Brooklyn got their act together. Brooklyn is on the rise, and this will be a big deal in the big city.
And what does it say about the way Sean Marks built this culture with the foundation of, we're not going to tank, we're going to try and develop young players, we're going to put in a coaching staff that can develop and grow these players, and all while clearing the space to make us one of the most attractive destinations right now, the most attractive destination it appears in the NBA?
Well, the fact that they didn't have total control over their draft picks makes tanking a lot less appealing, right? I mean, in a sense, that trade they made after Pierce and Garnett and those it didn't pan out, that forced their hand. They had to take this approach. So I think it is a good sign. It's one of the reasons that I feel bad for the Charlotte Hornets, because my friend Rick Bonnell, who covers that team for the Charlotte Observer, he doesn't see any alternative to tanking now for the Hornets. And to go from what they were aspiring to as Michael Jordan's franchise to a tanking team in a small market, that gets awfully forlorn. It really becomes a sad situation.
Look, there's so much focus on trying to build a championship team, like this, it's championship or bust. There's a certain element of just building your team the right way and playing the right way and trying to actually just win. And they did that. This is a testament to that, to doing it the old-fashioned way. You hire a non-glamorous coach who just knows how to coach and is going to establish fundamentals. And you do it with a bunch of young, hungry players that are trying to establish themselves. And you build good habits and you build good chemistry. And then Kevin Durant goes, that's interesting. And Kyrie Irving goes, "Oh, you got enough room for me too?" And they make that aggressive Allen Crabbe trade to move his $20 million away to Atlanta. They give away a draft pick to do it, and lo and behold, look at what happens.
Spencer Dinwiddie, who got paid in season by the Nets, he'll be sticking around, we believe, has taken to Twitter and given us some indication. What movie is this from?
A-Team.
Oh, the A-Team.
Yeah, that's the A-Team right there.
The
Love
Nets,
it when a plan comes together.
Unbelievable. The Nets looking like they're getting Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan. You don't have Kevin Durant for the first season with the ruptured Achilles. How much of a player are the Nets now, and how much of a player will they become, Ash?
Well, we have yet to see what Kevin Durant will be when he comes back, what kind of player he will be.
Worth the risk, though, for the Nets?
Definitely worth the risk, no doubt about it. I mean, if you get Kyrie in there now and you bring Kevin Durant back and everybody is bought into the whole thing about promise and potential and where that team is headed, while the Knicks are apparently not, I think it's very much worth this.
I think they're on the path to being pretty darn good this year. I mean, they're going to be a playoff team in the mix. They've upgraded their best player, their best active player in Kyrie Irving. If DeAndre Jordan comes, he's a real deal center. We know he can't shoot free throws and has other issues, but he can sure block shots, rebound, run, and have fun.
And he'll probably still come off the bench with Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared Allen's a great young big, and then you've got LeVert, and you've got Dinwiddie. You've got a lot of core players, plus some depth beyond that you've seen in the other graphic. So they got a team. They got that same core identity, and they're not done yet, right? We'll see who else comes.
Better day. Go ahead, Ash.
Are these guys they're bringing in Kyrie and KD, are they going to make those other guys better still?
Right.
That's the other thing. I mean, they'll develop on their own, but they could become better players by virtue of simply being with those stars.
Better night for the Nets and their fans, or worse night for the Knicks and their fans?
It's the afternoon. The night hasn't even started. I think this is the ultimate taking of New York. To do this on day one, it is an acceptance of Brooklyn, and it's just a condemnation of New York, because the New York Knicks were all in. They put their chips all in with this plan, and they're coming up zeros on day one.
Let's go to this angle of it. We talked about it a little bit earlier on when we had Michael Scotto joining us. Remember that trade 6 years ago, which many have deemed the worst trade, most lopsided trade in NBA history, when the Nets and Celtics got together? Okay, as we look forward into the 1920 season, 6 years later, who's in better shape, the Nets or the Celtics?
I still say it's the Celtics.
Yeah, I like the Celtics too. I mean, they, in a sense, a negative goes now with Kyrie leaving. They had a pretty good bunch there 2 years ago, and they showed in the playoffs when Kyrie was hurt, some of the potential that they had, and I think that the friction there took them a step back. But I do think that they still have more assets and are more ready.
But we keep on hearing about the Celtics' assets. We keep on hearing about Danny Ainge lining himself up to make that big move. He couldn't pull the trigger to get Paul George. He didn't pull the trigger to get Kawhi Leonard. He hasn't been able to get Anthony Davis in that big trade, right? So at what point do those assets just become a talking point rather than a reality?
Well, he's burned through a lot of them. There aren't many left. Now it's a question of getting that core you referred to, getting Young and Brown to become and Walker to become what they had in McHale, Parrish, and Bird.
But the point of it is, look how quickly things have changed for the Nets and their fortunes, right? Kyrie Irving, even with the issues he may have had in Boston last year, and Kevin Durant going to be out for at least a year with a ruptured Achilles, we're still looking at the Nets franchise totally different today than we were just a few moments ago, Tom.
For sure. This is a game changer. It's not at the cost of Boston, though. That's sort of why it's hard for me to make the analogy. And you can't forget the last 6 years of pain that was caused as a result of the transaction that didn't work out. But as far as a fresh start, a new direction, a game-changing day, this is significant in Brooklyn.
Ash, final words?
Yeah, I guess I'm out of here. Thank you very much.
You don't have to go home.
It's a net gain. Why don't we just go with that, right?
Oh, I like that. Is that the headline? A massive. The biggest day in Nets history. The reports tonight, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan all going to Brooklyn to join the Nets. The frenzy has officially gotten underway with less than an hour to go until the official start of free agency 2019. This is Free Agent Fever presented by AT&T. TV, Tom Penn, Steve Ashburner, Jared Greenberg. Okay, so Kevin Durant, the first big shoe is going to drop tonight. We also know, listen, Kevin Durant is going to miss the entire first year of his contract. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Tom, who's in play now for Kevin Durant's services when he announces tonight? Who is sitting on the edge of their chair?
So he could go back to Golden State. He's got about 58 million reasons to do that because he can get a one-year extension longer, and it totals 57, 58 million more. But I'm going to assume he's on the move. And if he's on the move, it's a question of Durant and. Because if he's going to make that quick of a decision, he's confident somebody's coming with him or he's joining something good. So I'll say he's going to Brooklyn, and I'll say it's with Kyrie because I believe Kyrie is leaning that way anyway. And you've got the allure and the appeal of the New York market. New York has been cool forever for these guys, but the Knicks have been so bad forever. And then New Jersey was awful. Brooklyn was struggling. But Brooklyn has gotten their act together. They have a spectacular arena. They're in the hottest part of the greater metropolitan area as far as development goes. A new owner in Joe Tsai coming in, who's a world-class guy, doing it all the right way. Great management, and the ability to have two stars join that core, Steve, that came together and outkicked their coverage, outperformed what they were going to be, and they became something cool to go along with Brooklyn. So that's my prediction.
Well, and if you take these reports about Durant in sequence, first we heard he was going to talk to 4 teams. It was just going to be Golden State, the Clippers, New York, and Brooklyn.
Yep.
And I don't think beyond Golden State or Brooklyn, the other 2 are prepared to act as quickly or promise him what he's looking for in terms of a second key player. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad I said when you asked me earlier in the show that he would be the first domino to go. And I'm also glad that because of the way he's going to do this, none of us has to get out to the Boys and Girls Club in Greenwich for the decision.
By the way, Ash used that joke off the air. It got such a good reaction, he decided to bring it on the air. That's a little behind the curtain of NBA TV here. Ash, Kevin Durant has told us that he doesn't need to be recruited. He has said that on the record. He knows enough about what teams have in terms of money to spend, in terms of rosters, in terms of location. What do you read into the fact that he's going to do this so quickly?
Just what you mentioned, that he's a guy who comes to his decisions very methodically, and is not going to react to a dog and pony show when it comes to how you're wooed, what suitors might do in this little time frame here. This is a much bigger call than that. So I think that's important. What I wonder about is that second guy. If it's Kyrie, he goes in there knowing he's not going to have KD.
And that's why I think he can do it quickly, because he knows what's happening. He's he and his agent, they're directing this in a way in concert with the other player if they do put 2 together somewhere. So he needs to declare he's coming in order to get the other player to say, yes, I'll come. And he knows he's in control of that because anybody will come play with Kevin.
And the timing matters with the execution of all these signings. Just because the Nets and Kyrie, quote unquote, have officially announced that he's coming doesn't mean he'll be the first to sign that piece of paper.
Yeah, well, and if it's both via free agency, it's both going to happen the same way. And in this Nets example, that just means D'Angelo Russell's clearly on the move, right? So as soon as Kyrie comes in, positionally, because of the rest of their makeup, he'd go out. It's not a money thing necessarily.
Do you think the Nets renounce D'Angelo Russell and he becomes an unrestricted free agent, or will the Nets still possibly look to sign and trade him?
Well, if they're going to get 2 guys, they're not, unless you're going to do multiple sign and trades like we just talked about, it's more likely they just renounce him, let him go. He goes, signs as a free agent wherever he's going to go, and the Nets would add these 2 players. Now, it may not be the Nets with Kevin Durant. It could very well be. Now, the Clippers could do something similar, but it's not as quick because they have to move Gallinari, but they could bring 2 as well. And you could theoretically see Durant and Kawhi both go to the Clippers, let's say, and you'd have this same logic. But Kawhi's not in this mix. It feels like he's not one to just jump on board. Kyrie, Durant, that feels like a match.
Do you feel the injury to Kevin Durant, Ash, had any factor in where Kevin Durant was going to go, or he was going to go wherever he was going to go before, even the calf injury, which may or may not have led to the Achilles injury?
That he was going to go, period, or where he would go?
Where he would go.
No, to me, the injury only had an impact as far as would he stay in Golden State.
Okay.
If he had not suffered that Achilles injury, I think most of us agree he was gone. But that would give him a chance, as Tom said, sign a shorter deal or opt in and rehab on their dime and then make this decision down the road a bit.
Or sign the longer deal, like the full 5 years and the extra $57 million because he feels the vulnerability and he feels like this is his last big contract. But he strikes me also as someone made for New York City in his own head too, because he's got his own the boardroom show that he's doing on ESPN Plus. He's got all this ventures that he's getting involved in. You just see him wanting to, if you go to New York and establish yourself in New York, you can become sort of a business hub in New York as well. Not a hub, but a business little micro hub.
But he's also had a really successful off-the-court business ventures with Silicon Valley as well, out in California.
Yeah, but you get east rather than west. The west is still a problem, right? Yeah. So Golden State's going to be on a bit of a sabbatical, but I think the east is an easier road for anybody like Durant that wants to get back to the finals.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just my feeling he wanted to come back east and to have this next chapter of his storied career be in New York City. That would be very interesting.
All right, we will continue to have much more on this developing story that Kevin Durant, according to Woj, will announce tonight where he is headed. We'll be live all afternoon and evening long right here.